when you are in the process of analyzing an offense in QReader, basically what you do, whether you do it on those steps or instinctively, you need to determine a couple of things. So I'm opening an offense here, and you need to make sure that first of all, is this a false positive? Because I need to tune my QReader because this situation is normal. Or is this a real thing? If it's a real thing, are we a target of choice? Somebody is aiming at us, or we are a target of opportunity where somebody click where they're not supposed to. And so to answer those questions, when you look at an offense in QReader, you look at the offenses that fire, as we can see here. Okay, just look at somebody tripping to some malware, and here are the sequence of events. They are kind of close to one another, that relevance, the credibility, and the severity. But that might not be enough right there. So you may need to go into the events because there are no flows in this particular case. And what you're trying to do is find who is behind this. And to do that, you need to look for indicators of compromise of IOCs. So I say that you go here into the more severe ones, like let's go into this one, for example, and you see the details of that particular event. And what you see, oh, I see hash, boom, and I see most people grabbing this hash, going to VirusTotal or this or that, pasting in there, and begin to craft the story behind who is behind this. And that may take quite a bit of time to actually get to do that. So Advisor can help you in that process tremendously by saving you a great deal of time and effort in doing that. That process of going manually and investigate all the possible IOCs behind this is very laborious. And if it's very laborious, you are not going to do it with every offense that you have. But let me show you otherwise. Advisor already look at this offense, and first of all, it's telling me, based on what I see, the IOCs that I see here and related to this thing, I see the following thing. First of all, I think this is a big deal. This is a high priority. And by the way, when you provide feedback, like I'm doing right now, so at the end of the investigation, you provide feedback, then Advisor also know what's important for your company. Because what might be important for manufacturing might not be that relevant for healthcare and vice versa. So this feedback is telling me, I think this is a big deal. And look at that, threat actors, 13 malware families, wow. 1 high-value user, meaning an executive, 7 other offenses that are related to this. And it's actually showing that the MITRE attacks and techniques that it sees. How can you see all that from just what we saw those events of where blue codes and people went to bad websites and my semantic thing, any EDR technology indicating that somebody tripped into malware. Let's actually see this graphically to see how Advisor can save you a great deal of time. So this is a graphic view of everything that Advisor has found in minutes about this particular situation. There's too much data in here, so I'm going to bring things by stages or by parts, right? So what we see here in gray is the data that was part of that offense. Actually, quite a bit of data in this particular case, in which we can see that user, Ronnie Shire, and he has that, rounded thing is because he's an executive. And this also Doris Freeman has been seen in this particular offense. And here are the IPs and the URLs of places that they went, and everything that is in red, by the way, is malicious. And you can see the details of it by just clicking in it. And Advisor say this is a medium concern. And if we see the references, in this particular case, it's even VirusTotal. But Advisor is subscribed to very many threat intelligence sources, so it knows who is who in the zoo there, right? Okay, so that might be interesting. That's you may not be impressed by now, and I don't blame you for it. So let me bring some more pieces of information in here. Let me actually bring the blue. And what I like to call the blue is the Facebook of the bad guy. So everything is related in life, and same thing with the malware, variations, the groups, people behind it. And what Advisor has done is say, well, based on all the information that I ingest on a daily basis, this is the engine that understands spoken language, that reads papers, that receives tons of curated data from our scientists. And then they say, well, I had found relationship for this IP in particular to these blue things that we see in here. Those were not part of the offense. That data wasn't there, and it would have taken you hours to figure all these things manually. Same thing here. Let's go over here and see, well, we even have an organization behind this. We can see, that icon represents an organization. We can actually get the details of it. Who are these guys? There's a Falcon, and you can get, the actual references, and, Kaspersky, Secure List. You can get the details on everything that isn't getting read. There are some agents that have been used, I've been seen working with this particular type of malware. So all that information is right there. So now this is a big deal. This is not a false positive. I know the organization that are behind it. So this is actually saving you a great deal of time right there. But there's more. If you want to do a thorough job, what you want to do is that you want to pick up all those URLs, all those IPs, all those hashes, and put them into your QRadar tables, so your offenses are going to fire should anybody in the organization touches any one of these IOCs. So far, it has only been Doris and Ronnie, but you do that by simply clicking here on export, clicking here on reference set, and select what is it that you want to add, and then click here export, and then put the name of your reference set that is working. It might be more than one that are working with offenses in your QRadar environment. So that's good. So now you are protected from here into the future with variations of this, and you know that when the bad guys finds a crack in an organization, they're not going to give up. They're going to keep on, going and finding bigger things. But you probably will agree with me that this investigation is not, although it's very good so far, it's not completed, because what you will want to do is actually, let me take all the IOCs that are in the offense and all the blue IOCs, the one that are related to with 1 or 2 degrees of separation and with a level of toxicity and relevant big enough for advisor to bring them to my attention. And I want to actually perform a search in QRadar on my logs. Let me go 7 days back and see if anyone has already been in contact with all these IOCs. And particularly in the case of offenses, even the stuff that has been part of the offense, it is hard because an offense gets indexed on only one parameter. Let's say that offense number 1 index on source IP. But you may have offense number 2, which index by host name, for example, and they may show up as 2 separate offenses. And it's not easy to find out that they are related unless you look at them. And if one happens today and another one happens next week, you probably won't remember what you were looking a week before, right? So let me actually bring the third stage, the green. And the green is precisely that component. It's actually looking back into, it's performing searches in your QRadar logs, QRadar flows, and QRadar tables, reference sets, and find out whether there's something in there, something additional in there. So let me actually zoom in from here to see it better. And what is it that we can see? Well, there are several offenses that are related to this that otherwise I wouldn't have seen. There's also this guy, Fran Sanchez, who I may want to investigate. Because he also went from this particular machine into this IP, which is also part of the original offense, and these all URLs are actually related to that particular IP. So tons of information on it. And now I can say that after I will investigate what Frank has done and all that, I can report easily in a matter of minutes everything that happened. You don't need advisor to use QRadar at all, but I hope that you have seen here that this can save you a tremendous amount of time, and also can give you the peace of mind that when you look at an offense, if it tells you that it's not a high priority and it doesn't find additional IOCs that are related, you can go home comfortably thinking that this is not the stuff that is going to show up in the news because somebody in your company got infected and got ransomware, or God knows what things can actually happen. So again, the way I like to see advisor is a time saver. You can, if you were to gather all this information manually, it sure would have taken you a great deal of time.